So for me, it's identifying those blocks and removing the blocks and making everything flow from beginning to end.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Iconic Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Chaitra Vedalapalli, President of Women in Cloud. This podcast is for founders, executives, investors, and change makers who are done playing small and ready to lead movements that actually matter. Every week, we don't talk about big ideas. We actually unpack lived experiences, pivotal moments, and the real systems behind leadership that democratize access and create lasting impact. Because here's what I believe: prosperity should be the default, not the exception. Together, we are here to democratize intelligence and elevate how you lead and shape the next 50 years of inclusive innovation. So today I have an amazing guest, and I'm joined by Adi Klevit, CEO, founder of Business Success Consulting Group. And if you care about building efficient, scalable business through the power of systems and processes, this conversation is for you. Adi is the leader and visionary of Business Success Consulting Group, bringing 30 years of experience as a trained industrial engineer, management consultant, and business executive to help organizations dramatically improve their efficiency and performance. So what she has done is she has leveraged this expertise in business processes and personal management, finance, and operation, and helps business owners to achieve their goals and bring order in their lives. Now, one thing that I saw talking to her was she knows how to address the critical need among the entrepreneurs for practical resources and systemize their businesses, a need that hasn't been met. So through her work and through her System Simplified podcast, she made it her mission to provide the structure and tools leaders need to unlock creativity, delegate efficiently, and scale with confidence. So with that, Adi, welcome to the Iconic Leadership Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Fantastic. Adi, did you use AI today?
Of course I did.
What decision did it influence you today?
Oh, it assisted me in the decision of moving forward with an applicant that we are hiring. So I used AI in order to evaluate the assessments that we gave that applicant. And together we made a decision to move forward, and why.
Congratulations. That's a beautiful process optimization you have done around job hiring. Adi, you have spent decades of helping businesses to create structure and clarity. I want to start with you. What first made you passionate about bringing order to chaos?
I think it's just part of who I am. Looking back, that is, I always liked order, but not obsessively. It's not, I don't obsessively bring order to things. It's just I like orderly things that allow me then to create and allows me to move forward and progress. So I started my career as an industrial engineer. And I think that's what industrial engineers do, or at least the job that I started with was to bring organization to the workflow. I started with an international consulting company. I was one of the several industrial engineers. We did different projects. One of them, my first one, was at Mitsubishi plant, and our task was to bring order, to make sure that it's sequential, that the workflow is sequential, that it is optimized, and did a lot of time study, looking at things, how to improve them and how to optimize both the humans that are using the process and the process itself. And I think that's where my passion started developing, to organize and streamline processes. So from there, I evolved in my career, where eventually I decided to start my own company. And that's the company today, but it evolved. I didn't start with that. I started as a general business consultant. And then I saw the niche and the need to bring the knowledge that I used in big enterprises to small, medium-sized businesses. And I think it really aligns to what you believe in and what you do, because it is democratizing that privilege or that's knowledge that you usually see in big corporations to also smaller businesses that are the fundamental building blocks of our economy. So I would tell business owners, you need playbooks. How can you operate your business without playbooks? And it just doesn't happen. How can you train without actually giving somebody a textbook? It just can't happen. Can you imagine going to school without any textbooks? That's a problem. Or ability to today we search and we look. So if you cannot even search something that's specifically to your business, how can you get somebody on the same page and somebody operating and producing? So that's how it evolved. And that's where I saw that need and that niche of a done it for you service to document, optimize, implement the processes and procedures for companies.
Adi, as we were talking about it, we both are engineers, and reverse engineering the process was my favorite part of it. What was your favorite part when you were like looking at workflow automation process? What was your favorite part? Dissecting it into smaller pieces or connecting the smaller pieces to make it a workflow?
I think my favorite part is to make it flow. It's a
Mhm.
workflow. So if you look at a river that flows, it flows. If there are obstacles, it does not flow. And the same thing applies in workflows. They do not flow, and you start maybe with a very strong flow, and then towards the end, it just gets into a very small stream because of the blocks. So for me, it's identifying those blocks and removing the blocks and making everything flow from beginning to end.
Yeah, so I want to go a little bit more because people are getting confused because with AI, everything is workflow automation. And I think you have to redesign it. And I hear this words process thinking, system thinking, use it differently. Are they the same or fundamentally different? And how should leaders should be thinking about that difference now?
It's great because that's what really AI fleshed out is the need for systems and the need for processes. So you have your processes, you have your overall system, you have your IT systems. So it depends on how you define systems. But in order for the system to function, you got to have each process functioning. And you have to understand each process. So if we look at a human body, we have a human body that operates together. That's a system. It's a system of different organs and different processes. But each process, the way the heart beats, the way your blood is pumped into the body, the pressure in the eyes, all of those are processes, like how we see, how we observe, how we analyze the data, how we eat, the digestive system. So each one of them is a process, the process of eating, the process of swallowing, the process of, I guess, the chewing, the swallowing, the digesting. So those are all processes. The processes have to be defined, and that's what we are trying to optimize. Because yes, AI is all about process workflow automation, but if you don't have your workflow, what are you going to automate? And that is the key point that I think now it's being more and more being thought of and understood. But at the beginning, when AI was the big buzzword, it is today as well. I'm not saying it's not, but it's very obvious that without process workflow, what are you going to optimize? But then you have to look at the entire system. So it goes hand in hand. You have to look at the big picture. You have to look at also the parts. And I do not think that there is the right or wrong way of looking at it. However, I do think they have to be integrated, because if you go too much into the weeds and just try to fix the processes where it doesn't align to the entire system, it's not going to work either. If you just want to revamp the entire system without looking at the specific parts, it's also not going to work. So I think that it has to be a balance between those two.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And you're working with a lot of entrepreneurs and they struggle. Not, I think you believe that they're not struggling because of a lack of vision, but lack of system. But what is really happening inside a business that makes them feel chaotic and stuck?
When we, as entrepreneurs, when I say we, visionaries, entrepreneurs, start a business, we have a vision and we work towards that vision. We see the visible things. The visible things that you see is customers or clients. It's money in the bank. It's marketing pieces and materials that you send out, your ads, your emails that you send, all the promotional materials. You have all those visible parts of the business, but also the parts that you feel that without it, it's like air. You're not going to breathe if you don't have air. So you just keep pumping air into the lungs. You keep pumping attention and work into your sales process, which is very important, but into your sales machine, like actually doing it. Then you need to hire. So you're hiring people and you do all those things, all those activities that you see. Processes, they are an invisible concept. They happen, you are doing it, but having it is something that, yeah, there is a process, but I know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to continue doing it. And that, in my opinion, and for my experience, is the problem, is that the process is the infrastructure, is the unseen thing behind the scenes that needs to be there, but it's not there. So that's where I think the disconnect is.
Yeah, you said the magic word, infrastructure. I think that's the invisible infrastructure most of the entrepreneurs really are not able to see. And as you were talking, where does that breakdown happen? Is it when they're executing or when they're planning or they're launching? Where does that breakdown happen, Adi?
I think the breakdown happens in all three. It gets visible when you're executing. So when you're planning, launching, executing, if you don't plan correctly, if you don't launch correctly, then it will show up in the execution. But also if you don't execute correctly, that's where the breakdown is going to show. So sometimes we can't plan everything ahead of time. It's good to have a plan. And then as you're executing, to measure it and see where things go out of alignment and fix it.
Amazing. So I want you to give is what's like the first process or a system overwhelmed entrepreneurs should actually create so they can start to see the impact. Do you have any guidance for them?
Yes. And the question is, it depends on your business. There is no one size fit all. But what I would say is look at your business and ask yourself, where, if I had well-documented processes and procedures right now and a defined workflow, I'll get the biggest return on investment. And what do I mean by return on investment? Yes, we all want the profit, the bottom line, but I'm really looking at what is right now going to solve a problem that you have in the business that will allow you to expand, grow, scale, and get more business. So maybe it is the hiring process you have to start with because you are currently hiring and it's taking a lot of your time. For instance, for us internally, we are hiring and I needed to refine the process because I needed to make sure that it flows and that we're actually getting good applicants and we are hiring and then we can train them, etc. Some businesses, it might be their operations. There is something there that is non-optimum and that's what they need to address.
For the listeners, I would say if you're struggling with some of your execution, I would say please reach out to Adi because she can at least double click and tell you how to even simplify it. So Adi, let's say I have an entrepreneur who's listening and they want to get quick wins. What is like the simple steps that you take them through it? And what does that look like?
I actually have a 15-minute quick start checklist that I'll be happy to share with our listeners. It's assessing, first of all, where you're going to start. So define that area and define the why. Why do you want to document? Why do you want to create the process? What is going to be the end result of this? Because if you don't have that, then it will be hard to push through because all the things that happen in the business on a day-to-day are going to grab your attention. And that's what you're going to get pulled into. Oh, I need to put off that fire or hire this or close this customer. So all of that can create that noise. But if you have the why that will push you forward, that is where you're going to go. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing is then you have the process you want to document. Good. Now figure out, map it. Take sticky notes, take an electronic whiteboard with electronic sticky notes and start mapping your process. That's the second step. Once you have that, then start writing the instructions and writing what you do, best practices, why you're doing it this way. Make sure it's sequential, make sure it flows. and then give it to somebody else to review it, somebody else who does the work to review it and see if anything is missing. And then start optimizing. Ask yourself, okay, where are the bottlenecks? What can I do faster? What do I want to do better? But evaluate. Don't go into this obsessive change that now you're going to spend 10 hours in order to save 5 minutes. No, just like really identify what is repetitive, what is happening over and over, where are you going to benefit the most by having well-documented and optimized processes.
As you were saying, I know the entrepreneurs are thinking and they'll overcomplicate this process. Is there any tips that they can avoid complicating this process, especially the initial path?
Just keep it simple. Don't think it's complicated and don't think that you have to now wait forever. Just start doing it. Just follow those instructions. And again, if you want my quick checklist, quick start checklist, I'll be happy to share. Just follow that checklist. It will work. It just gives you specific steps and you will see and you will get the first win that you actually accomplished something. And then you will want to do the other one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah, I just take a paper and start writing what is happening and where are the big pain points. And you know the anxiety causes you to react, right? That means your process is broken somewhere and everything is on your plate. You know you need to take action. So I'm so glad you have a diagnostic tool and you have a very simple steps for them to take. You have helped a lot of organization improve their efficiency and performance. Is there a personal leadership framework, philosophy, or a decision filter that helps you stay grounded when the stakes are high?
You mean for myself or the clients themselves that are
For
recommended?
you as well as with the clients.
Yeah, I think it's the purpose. It's being grounded in purpose and understanding what the purpose is that allows you to just move forward. Because as we engage on a project, many times a lot of confusion surfaces. All of a sudden you see, I am not doing that well. Or the client can think that way, or there are holes, or there are this, or there are that. Again, if we take the body analogy, let's say you have some aches and pains and you go to the doctor, you get a blood test, and all of a sudden you're looking at it and you now need to face it that not everything is optimum. There's a solution. We're not talking about a terminal disease. There is a solution, but it will require some adjustments. It will require some lifestyle changes. And the same thing in business as well. But if you have the purpose of whatever your purpose is as the business owner, then you also have the purpose to get there. Then putting the organization and the systems will help you get there. So long as you're true to your purpose and you keep the eye on the mountain, that's very grounding.
Fantastic. I want to talk about the cost of leadership when you are putting all this processes in the back end. Scaling a business through process sounds very structured, but it also requires a lot of unseen effort. Adi, what are behind the scene work that's very essential to the work that you do today?
So it is, I look at it as the investment. It's always a reinvestment. And it's a conversation that we have with our clients is like, what is going to be the return on investment? So you're going to invest funds, you're going to invest time, you're going to invest all of that. And there's going to be a lot of work behind the scenes to answer your question, yes. But what do you want to achieve that will actually be the return on investment? So if right now you're spending that much time with a new hire to onboard them because you don't have good playbooks to train them on, how much does it actually cost you? So yes, there is going to be a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of weekly meetings, working, creating. If you hire us, that's what we are here for. It's a done it for you service. So we will create that. But yes, the client has to participate. They have to be there in the weekly meetings. They have to review. They have to give the information. So it is definitely a process, but we have to look at the results and the return on investment on it.
Sure. I want to double click about your consulting group. What motivated you to start and what was the invisible work that went into building resources for entrepreneurs when these resources does not exist right now?
I always had my entrepreneurial spirit. I had several businesses before this, and then I decided this is something I'm good at. It's something that I just have the knack for, I'm good at, I care about people, I love working with business owners, I love bringing order in. And I saw that as a niche, as a necessity. So there was a lot that went behind the scenes in order to create it. It's our own internal procedures, our know-how, our experience, our combined experience. We're a group of professionals, of consultants and technical writers, and we consulted hundreds of clients, combined probably thousands, and that knowledge put together in our own SOPs is what went on behind the scenes. Of course, also training and hiring and marketing and all of that.
Amazing. Adi, you talked about the legacy, the system, the mindset, and access. What do you continue to leave behind in the room as you move from one space to another? What is your legacy going to look like?
What we leave behind is those playbooks for our clients, first of all, and hearing clients 2-3 years later, oh yes, we are using them, we are training new employees with it, we are creating this stability because now we can train our employees. I feel that it's a big legacy. It's a trail that we are living as we are going. And we love those stories, and we keep in touch with our previous clients, and they come back for new projects, or they tell us, yes, I'm doing this. Those are the wins. This is what I've done. So I believe that is a legacy. I also write articles and my own podcast that you were a guest on. I feel like that is a legacy as well, because it gives content to business owners, inspire them, and let them keep current with their peers and what is important and what is being done. So that is definitely also a legacy. And I also feel that my staff, my team, the coaching that they're getting, the training that they're getting. For me, when I look at it, when I started my career and I had a mentor that she was great. And her legacy was that she instilled in me a lot of business concepts that I still carry with me to date. So I try to do the same with others. So that is also another legacy that then can be passed on to others.
Amazing. And Adi, as technology and business environments are evolving with AI and in future probably quantum, and the next 5 years is going to be looking very different than what we are living today. How can business owners ensure their systems and processes remain adaptable while also fostering the creativity, judgment, and empowering each other to have access to the economic opportunities?
So I think that's what you are doing is so important, because we need an ecosystem. It's not going to happen by itself. And when you and I had a conversation on my podcast, I completely agree with what you are doing, because you have to tap into those resources. That's how you're going to keep current. Also on your processes, because you're going to learn new systems and new ways of doing things, but you can't learn it. It's impossible for us to learn it, each one of us to learn it by ourselves, because we don't have enough hours in the day. If I right now just sat down and did all these courses about AI or spend hours and hours learning about, I won't be able to do anything. But that's why we have to rely on each other and create that accountability, but also collaborative environment where you can tap into those resources, and those resources have to be available. So for instance, if you have a process that needs a certain platform, you have to have access to knowledge about that platform and access to that platform, and then hire an expert to do that. That's why we are experts in workflow and creating SOPs. And then we tap into our strategic partners that are experts at creating agents, or experts at automating the workflow, etc., as an example, because that's how you keep current, by tapping into the knowledge of different people in your ecosystem.
Yeah, Adi, based on what you said, this kind of business wisdom comes to my mind. The business wisdom says you must always choose, like, pick luxury versus a mass scale, because that is what an entrepreneur is constantly thinking about. Oh, I need to give this extremely amazing experience to my customer, but I also want to scale on mass. Yet Apple actually proved it is a false limit. And they can produce 350 iPhones every minute, a luxury product at a mass scale, mass market scale. And I've watched Steve Jobs and Tim Cook spent 20 years building a system. They refused to have a binary choice. And your internal stories are just part of the system that can be reimagined with the processes of how you make it happen. And the world will meet you at the level of your audacity and hope. That's what you are helping me think. So I think if someone wants to redesign the story in their head, it's totally possible. It's just how they look at the process and how they build a system around it. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%. And as you said on the podcast I interviewed you, you said there is always a solution. That is how you make things possible. You can observe the problem. That's what you did. You observe the problem and you observe the necessity. When I started a business, I observed that there is a need. Did I know where I'm going to be like 15 years ago when I started it, that I will be here today with the system? No, we are evolving our systems all the time. Yesterday, I got onboarded to a new organization. I got onboarded. I go, wow, what a great onboarding. We are adapting it to ours. So you are constantly evolving, but again, by observing, by looking, and by having that attitude that there is a solution, reverse engineering it, finding it, looking, but there is a solution. That's where we limit ourselves. If we say, oh, no, there is no solution, that's a problem we're never going to get solved. Or always presenting problem after problem, why it cannot be done, why it cannot be done, why it cannot be done. And then you say, okay, if it cannot be done, it cannot be done. Let's go to somebody else that has the attitude, yes, it can be done, and let's do it. And it's that saying by Henry Ford, if you think that you can or you think you can't, you are right. Or I'm totally probably paraphrasing and botching it, but that's the idea. But it's the same thing. And think big. And like you said, it's an audacious goal. Why not? It costs you the same, nothing to think small or think big. Right now, I can think of, okay, I want to service 2,000 businesses, or I want to service 2 businesses. I can think both of them at the same time.
And I think that's what I would like people to take away is you can be as audacious as possible, and you need to change your mindset, and you can drive everything with process engineering. And then you put the systems together to make sure these processes are working. So I'm so glad you were able to spark that thinking in my mind. I was like, oh, that's how you become audacious, is that is the pattern or a blueprint you need. And
it's very true, because that point, I think where people get disappointed is because they just think, but they don't put it into action. So yes, I can think, oh, I want to have 2,000 customers right now, but I only have 2. I dreamed it, but nothing happened. So Monday morning comes and I'm just going to continue doing. No, okay, you want that. So then to your point, let's reverse engineer it. 2,000, what does that mean? How do you get there? What systems do I need? How many people? What am I going to service them with? What I'm going to provide? Just like you get those systems in place, and then you get the processes for each, and you'll get there.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at the Apple case study. I'm like, how did they produce 350 iPhones per minute? It's not even humanly possible. But now when I look at the robots that are coming, it's at the same scale. I was like, because they're thinking very differently. So, Adi, I enjoyed this conversation. Is there a question you wish you would have been asked, but I did not ask you today?
That's a good one. Is AI going to replace you?
What is your take on that?
Answer is no, and I don't think it's going to replace any of us that stay relevant. That's the truth. Because this is a great era that we're living in. And in the beginning, it was a little bit scary. I'm sure for all of us, it's a new thing. But you got to really look at it and see what differentiates you as a human from the machine, from the AI, from the robot. And once you identify that and make more of that and get yourself trained more on that, you are going to stay relevant. What I realized is if you look at any organization, any company, whether they're fully automated or they're not, they need processes and procedures. They need playbooks. They are always going to have humans. I don't see ourselves living in a society where we are going to have only robots. It's not going to happen. Otherwise, we're not going to be here, and who cares? But if we're going to still be here, we're going to have the humans. The human connection is going to be more important than ever. And I see it. I see it because people they want that in-person meetings. I've been going to more in-person meetings than ever because we want that human connection, that interaction, that conversation like we are having right now. I would not be able to have this conversation like you and I are having with Claude or with ChatGPT. It's not going to happen. So you do need that human connection, but I look at it in terms of, so we're going to have humans. You're going to hire people, they will need their playbooks, but also the agents you're going to put on your org chart need playbooks because they need a workflow that they can then go and produce. And they also need to train on it, of course, and they can make it better, but you have to decide what it is. So I do think that the answer is no, AI is not going to replace us. It's going to replace us if we did not adopt AI, but we harness it, we are on top of it, we are always learning, always studying. All of my team members are keeping top of the most advances we can. It advanced so fast. And then we can give to our clients a better tool. And we can also teach our clients better and we can provide better solutions because, again, we are an arm to our clients, a partnership with our clients. So instead of the CEO that has to now study 16 hours a day, which you don't have time to do, we multiply it by, let's say we have 16 teams, they learn it, and then we can put it together and give it to our clients. So I do think that there are actually exciting opportunities with AI and we got to embrace it. It's here, it's going to stay. And we just need to figure out how we can embrace it and use it for our advantage in order to move forward.
Amazing. What are the kind of immediate opportunities you're seeing, Adi, in your space with AI?
I see opportunities to create more workflows for companies so they can then create the automation that they need in order to speed up things, in order to produce better products, and not to replace people, but to then elevate the people that they have in order to create better and provide better service to their clients or customers. Because if they don't do it, they're going to be overcome by their opposition, by their competition, because they're going to move faster. Let's say you are a marketing agency and now instead of taking 3 days to produce your final asset, now your competitor can do it in an hour. You better learn how to do it, but do it better. But that's where you have to elevate the people and elevate the technology as well.
Yeah, as we are coming to the close of this podcast, Adi, I want to learn about what does iconic leadership mean to you, especially at the intersection of humanity and technology?
It means being genuine, being yourself, being care about what's going on, but also be very adaptable and observe. You got to observe. That's what it is. It's observation, not telling a story that is not there, not getting freaked out about the hype or what's going on, but really observe where things are at, decide that there is a solution, figure out how to come up with a solution, saying, I don't know, but I'm going to find out when that's what needs to happen. And that will allow you to move forward.
Amazing. I have a surprise for you. This is
Okay.
a rapid fire for 1 minute, and I want you to answer, and then we'll conclude. So, what's your favorite food you can eat anytime?
Steak.
Ah, amazing. What's your go-to comfort movie?
The Princess Bride.
Ooh, that's cool. Dream vacation spot right now that you're thinking about.
Hawaii.
Hawaii, same. I love it. One app or tool you just cannot live without.
What opportune?
What app or tool you can
Opportune. I cannot live without. I can't live without Slack. How am I going to communicate to my people?
Are you a beach person or a mountain person?
Both. I love walking on the beach and I love climbing. So I do both. That's why I like, yeah, I do both.
One word that describes your leadership style.
Compassionate.
Amazing. Favorite way to reset your tough day.
Go for a walk.
Nice. One thing that's on your bucket list.
Going to Japan.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And again, before we close, is there a place that people can find you? Where can they find you?
Of course. So nowadays, it's very easy. LinkedIn. So Adi Klevit, you can look me there. You can also text or call at 503-662-2911. Email me, adi@bsuccesscg.com. You can download my ebook at successreplicated.com. I think that's enough. Between all of those, you can find me.
Adi, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your framework and the real work behind it. And again, we really enjoy hearing about process automation because that's something that everyone cares about. And you telling us how to go about it in a simple step was really resonating with me. So for the audience, if today's conversation resonated, make sure to subscribe to the Iconic Leadership Podcast. You can also explore the Iconic Leadership Assessment, watch the Icons movie, and join the wait list for the upcoming Iconic Leadership book. And if this episode added value, can you do me a favor? Take a screenshot of me and Adi together and share it on LinkedIn. That's how we know it's landing, and it helps us create more conversation like this for you. And if there's someone in your life, especially entrepreneurs who can benefit from hearing this, someone who's at the turning point or building a business and needs to hear this message, this is probably the episode you want to send it to them. And one last thing before we go, as a thank you for listening, I have a special free gift. The first 10 listeners will be entered into a prize drawing to receive a free copy of the Iconic Leadership book during the launch week. I'm Chaitra Vedalapalli. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, when we lead with purpose, we unlock prosperity for everyone. Again, Adi, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.